Have you ever heard the expression that there's something in the water? Or this expression, they're putting something in the water. Or they're putting drugs in the water. Now most people laugh this off as just, something stupid. Some people even just think that it's a crazy conspiracy by, those weird people who have nothing better to do except for, compare things and put them together and make it giant. Well, this isn't the first time it's been reported, but today I decided to make this video because it was on Yahoo's top stories. March 11, 2008. This was done by the Associated Press's National Investigation Team, a very reputable newspaper. They tested water, treated water that is, in 24 major metropolitan areas in 50 suburbs. They found that over 41 million people are being exposed to pharmaceutical drugs. Now when I say 41 million people, that's just what they tested. They found this in almost every single one of them. There was only 2 cities that didn't have it out of the 24 they tested for. And who knows if they were testing for every single type of drug. But in the ones they did test for, let's go over some of the results. Well, in Philadelphia they found over 56, that's 56 pharmaceuticals or pharmaceutical byproducts in drinking water, in treated drinking water. In Southern California alone, 18.5 million people were exposed to anti-epileptic and anti-anxiety medications, and not including the rest, in treated drinking water. In San Francisco, amongst other pharmaceuticals, they also found sex hormones. In Arizona, at least 3 pharmaceuticals were found in the drinking supply. Now, this is what the federal government does for us. There's not one required testing or has limits for drugs in the water. But wait, I remember watching on Fox News and CNBC and NBC and CNN that the terrorists were going to use our water, to kill us all and to take away our freedom. But they're finding drugs in it, and there's no regulation on this. So that means anybody, terrorist or not, you, me, anybody, could go up to a water supply and dump gallons upon gallons of LSD or any other pharmaceutical drug, hallucinogen, anything that we want, and the water treatment supply is not going to test for it, nor stop it from reaching your faucet. Doesn't that just not sound insane? Well, some people might go, well, it would cost too much money to do this. Well, that's not really true. You're talking about a small, very small amount of money to test for this. Remember, the Associated Press's National Investigation Team paid for their testing. Now, they did get one city, which I was surprised that didn't actually want to be tested to do it. So they actually had to get the State Department to do it, and that was New York State Department, to test for New York cities, because they refused to do it. Also, Fairfax, Virginia, Montgomery County, Maryland, Omaha, Nebraska, Oklahoma City, Santa Clara, California, and once again, New York City refused to test their water to show in a comprehensive result if there was pharmaceutical drugs or pharmaceutical byproducts in the water. But the New York State Health Department stepped in with the USGS and tested it and found heart medicine, estrogen, anticonvulsants, mood stabilizers, tranquilizers, and much, much more. New York City water officials had this to say: New York City's drinking water continues to meet all federal and state regulations. Let's just take a minute to absorb that. Okay, I'll repeat it. New York City's drinking water continues to meet all federal and state regulations. Now, this just isn't New York City. This is every city and every town across America. Why? Because there is no federal regulation on this. The EPA and the federal government doesn't care. All that tax money you pay for, the individual tax that was collected by the IRS in 2006, $1.236 trillion, they can't treat our water. I mean, this is something, water. It's what we have to survive on. But wait, you can say, hey, I'm going to go to bottled water. Well, over 90%, including Dasani, Aquafina, Ice Mountain, and the rest of them, that we believe is safe, guess what? They come from tap supplies. If you don't believe me, do your own research. Look at the side of the bottle. If they're tapping the water to put it into the bottle, guess what? It still has the pharmaceutical drugs in it. These drugs are very bad for your brain, your child's brain. Your neuron pathways are very complex, but when you're constantly getting minute traces of pharmaceutical drugs, there is no telling the long-term side effects. Scientists in the article even says that there's going to be long-term side effects. They just can't say what, because this has never been done before. So, what about the pharmaceutical companies? What are they having to say about this? Well, they're completely silent. But why shouldn't they be? In the last 5 years, Americans have been taking over 3.7 billion pills from these companies per year. 3.7 billion pills a year just in America. So let's look at something here. If they're pharmaceuticals that are causing this, it seems like the pharmaceutical companies could have a little bit of a consciousness. I mean, I know it's kind of out there for a corporation, but to give a little bit of money back to help us out as the public, since we supply them with the money that they're making. But let's take a look at how much they're making. Let's look at 2006 figures. Now, this is just 7 pharmaceutical companies out of the hundreds that sell drugs in America. Johnson & Johnson profited over $11 billion. $11 billion over that, Johnson & Johnson alone. Pfizer profited over $19.3 billion. Pfizer makes Viagra, but they also make a lot more. GlaxoSmithKline, GSK, profited over $10.1 billion. Merck & Company profited over $4.4 billion. Abbott Laboratories profited over $1.7 billion. Procter & Gamble profited over $10.3 billion. And Genentech profited over $2.1 billion. Now, this is some serious cash. This is over $50 billion of pure profit. This is after the bills are paid. This is after the employees are paid. This is after all the advertisement and everything. This is how much the corporation put in its pocket to buy more private planes, to buy bigger buildings, to buy the CEOs and the vice presidents, their nice, $50 million homes, their nice cars and everything else, and they can't give a little bit back to make sure their drugs that are killing people, known to kill people. Prozac alone has made people go crazy and pull shotguns, drown kids, yakety yak, just Google it. And they can't give a little back? Okay, what about the federal government? Like I said, in 2006 the federal government collected $1.236 trillion. They can't give a little bit to test the water and to treat it better for us? Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what to say. You can stand there and be silent all you want. Or you can stand up. Get out of your house. Turn off this computer. Go on your television. Turn it off. These are just companies making money off of you and not doing a damn thing to protect you. Doesn't this get you a little pissed off? And oh yeah, by the reason? Oh, because the pharmaceuticals are flushed down the toilet and because people take them and they're urinated through their body? So now you have the federal government telling me that the reason pharmaceuticals are in there are just not because they're flushed, but also because of urine. So that means when you're drinking the water, mine and yours and everybody else's piss is in it, in your baby's formula that you're giving to your little child's development. Their neural pathways are just now building. They need this time more than ever, and now they're getting pharmaceutical drugs pumped into their brains. These children are going to grow up, and we wonder why birth defects are at an all-time high. Why depression is at an all-time high. Now you can say that this stuff's just getting dumped in there, or you can say that, the pharmaceutical companies are testing different cities, that's why different cities were finding different things, and it's a giant conspiracy. Whatever you want to say, it does not matter. These drugs are in our water and they need to get taken out. The American people need to do something for once and actually stand up to this. Go drink your bottled water, go to McDonald's, go to Burger King, go wherever you have to go, Starbucks. The water that they're using comes from the tap. You're getting these drugs no matter where you go. This isn't funny. This is going to mess up your brain permanently. You think Alzheimer's is funny? Wait for another 20 years. See what you're like when you're 40 years old. See what your kid's like when he's 25 years old. And they're not going to do a damn thing to stop it? People, it's time to get pissed off. This is something very serious. Or we can just look at what the California water supplier said to us, and that is, and I quote, "The public doesn't know how to interpret the information." Well, I got one thing to interpret it. We're not going to take it anymore. We're not fucking idiots. And we're not going to be treated like idiots. Thank you.